What's up everyone and welcome back to MMA Talk. UFC President Dana White has once again given fans a deeper look into what makes the sport of mixed martial arts so captivating. Speaking at the Joy Forum in Saudi Arabia, White shared insights on what truly drives fight sales and pay-per-view success within the UFC. While many assume that star power, championship titles, or knockout records are the main reasons behind massive fight numbers, Dana White emphasized that the real secret lies in storytelling, the human element behind the fighters. According to White, every great fight begins with a compelling story. He explained that it's not just about how skilled a fighter is or how dominant their performances have been inside the octagon, it's about who they are, where they come from, and what they represent. Storytelling is what captivates fans, White said. It's what connects people emotionally and turns a good fight into a must-see event. White used the example of Khabib Nurmagomedov to illustrate his point. Khabib's journey, deeply influenced by his late father and his strong Islamic faith, resonated with millions of fans around the world. His humility, discipline, and respect for his father's teachings created a powerful narrative that went far beyond just his undefeated record. When you look at Khabib, how into his faith he is, how his father got him started, and the relationship they had, that's the kind of authenticity people connect with, White explained. He also pointed out how each fighter's background offers a unique perspective. Conor McGregor's story is very different from Khabib's, he said, but both of them were able to tell their stories authentically, and that's what made them global superstars. McGregor's rise from poverty in Dublin to becoming one of the most iconic figures in sports is the kind of rags to riches tale that fans can't resist. On the other hand, Khabib's story is one of honor, faith, and legacy. These contrasting journeys show the diversity within the sport and highlight how storytelling can connect fighters to fans in completely different ways. White emphasized that authenticity is the key. Whoever you are and wherever you're from, that's what I'm selling, he said, because it's real. He compared it to how legends like Muhammad Ali were able to connect with audiences by being unapologetically themselves. Authenticity, White believes, is what turns casual viewers into lifelong fans. He went on to explain how the UFC has grown over the years largely due to this emotional connection. Fans don't just watch fights, they follow the personal journeys of the athletes. Whether it's a fighter's struggle with injuries, their comeback after a tough loss, or the drama and controversy surrounding a rivalry, these narratives create investment and anticipation. Everything that happens, a win, a loss, the battle leading up to it, the controversy around it, all of it adds to the story, White said. People get sucked into the UFC bubble, and then they tell their friends, and it spreads. In the end, White credited the UFC's success to the fighters' authenticity and the organization's ability to share those stories effectively. What makes sports great is when you can tell those stories, he concluded. That's what keeps people watching, that's what keeps them talking, and that's how the UFC continues to grow. Through his remarks, Dana White made it clear that while talent and toughness matter, it's the story behind the fighter that truly sells the fight, and ultimately, that's what makes the UFC the global phenomenon it is today. Before we jump into the next story, we have a small favor to ask. If you're enjoying the content, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon. It really helps us out, and ensures you'll never miss an update. Move on to another news. As UFC Qatar approaches, the lightweight division is buzzing with anticipation for the showdown between New Zealand's Dan Hooker and Armenia's rising contender Arman Tsarukyan. The two have traded verbal jabs leading up to the fight, and now Hooker has responded to Tsarukyan's bold game plan, one that centers around relentless wrestling and control. In recent interviews, Tsarukyan made it abundantly clear that he intends to dominate Hooker with his grappling. His strategy, as he put it, is to take him down and wrestle him for 25 minutes. But the always confident Hooker isn't buying into that narrative so easily. Speaking to Home of Fight, Hooker gave a calm but calculated response, suggesting that Tsarukyan's approach might not be as simple as he thinks. Arman is the kind of fighter who fights fire with fire, Hooker explained. If you strike with him, he'll strike. If you wrestle with him, he'll wrestle. He's capable everywhere, and I respect that, but I'm prepared for both areas of the fight. Hooker acknowledged that Tsarukyan is well-rounded and technically sharp, yet he believes that the Armenian's tendency to engage his opponents on their own terms could backfire. Tsarukyan's confidence in his wrestling has been a recurring theme in the build-up to the fight. However, Hooker was quick to remind everyone that wrestling is a grueling discipline that takes a toll on both fighters, not just one. He says we're going to wrestle and that I'm going to get tired, Hooker said. But he forgets the part where if we wrestle, he's going to get tired as well. Wrestling isn't a one-way street. You can't wrestle someone, exhaust them, and expect not to get exhausted yourself. Wrestling drags both fighters into the pit, that's what it is. In typical Dan Hooker fashion, the Kiwi veteran added a touch of dry humor to his remarks. I'm ready to get tired, he said with a grin. What are you going to do make me tired? I'm already tired, brother. His comments reflect his trademark toughness and mindset, a fighter who embraces the grind, welcomes chaos, and refuses to be intimidated by anyone's game plan. Despite the tension between the two, Hooker was also gracious in giving Tsarukyan his due. Regardless of the bad blood, I feel like he's the best fighter in the division, skill for skill, including the champion, Hooker admitted. You always want to beat the best guy you can possibly get your hands on. on. Hooker went on to acknowledge that while there were other fan-favorite matchups available, such as a potential fight with Justin Gaethje, he personally wanted the Tsarukyan challenge. There were other exciting fights out there, but I wanted the Arman fight, he said. It's the kind of fight that proves where you stand in the division. For Hooker, a victory over Tsarukyan would mean much more than just another win. It could catapult him straight into title contention and potentially set up a blockbuster showdown with reigning champion Ilia Topuria. With a win here, Hooker could leapfrog the rest of the contenders and earn himself a shot at UFC gold, one insider noted. As fight night draws closer, both men are preparing for war, one looking to cement his rise, the other aiming to reassert his dominance in a stacked 155-pound division. And if Hooker's mindset is any indication, fans can expect a battle where neither man will back down. I'm ready for whatever he brings, Hooker said. If he wants to wrestle, let's wrestle. If he wants to strike, let's strike. Either way, someone's leaving with their hand raised, and I plan for it to be mine. Move on to another news. UFC middleweight Sean Strickland is no stranger to controversy, and once again, he found himself at the center of an online storm, this time during a live stream with social media personality Nina Drama. What started off as a casual pickleball session quickly spiraled into a heated back-and-forth filled with sarcasm, sharp words, and plenty of frustration from both sides. During the stream, Strickland playfully, or perhaps provocatively, brought up one of Nina's friends, referring to her with a mocking nickname, Cholesterol. It's still unclear who exactly he was referring to, but his comments clearly struck a nerve. Nina, who is known for her ability to stay composed and witty on camera, appeared genuinely annoyed this time, calling Strickland out for what she saw as unnecessary disrespect. Strickland began by teasing Nina, saying, "I'm the voice of reason here. Look at Cholesterol, she doesn't have these profound thoughts like you do." The jab instantly triggered a reaction from Nina, who fired back passionately, defending her friend. "Don't talk about her like that," she said firmly. "She has very profound thoughts. Just because she's not on a live stream talking about politics or world issues doesn't mean she doesn't think deeply about them. She has her own opinions, her own experiences, her own feelings, she just doesn't feel the need to push them out into the world as if they're fact." Nina went on to explain that her friend's quiet nature doesn't make her any less intelligent or self-aware. "That's what being inclusive means," she continued. "She's considerate of other people and the space she's in." Strickland, however, wasn't ready to back down. He smirked and interjected, "But you left out one key detail, she's a woman, so she's probably wrong." The comment, typical of Strickland's unfiltered style, only intensified the exchange. Nina quickly responded, "You've never even had a real conversation with her. You don't know what she does or what she's capable of." The conversation escalated as the two argued over what it means to be average. Strickland sarcastically described Nina's friend as an average Joe, implying that she doesn't stay up thinking about complex issues. Nina immediately challenged that. "Yes, she does," she said. "You have no idea how hard she works. She has a full-time job, a life, responsibilities, and she still manages to stay aware and involved. It's called multitasking. Women do it very well." Strickland laughed off the comment and countered, "I've seen you try to multitask, and you can't even move your feet and hands at the same time." That jab only added fuel to the fire. Nina fired back, defending her friend's professional achievements. "She makes everything you see in the world work. You think that's an average person's job? No, she's far from average." As the debate grew more personal, Strickland tried to lighten the mood, albeit in his usual provocative manner. "Nina's getting real aggressive over there," he joked. "Might be that time of the month for her." The comment, predictably, made things worse. Nina called him out immediately, saying, "Now you're just trying to make an example out of someone to prove a point, and you're wrong." By the end of the stream, it was clear that what began as playful banter had turned into a full-blown argument. Strickland, staying true to his brash personality, continued to poke fun, while Nina stood her ground, defending her friend and calling out his behavior. The heated moment quickly went viral online, with fans debating who came out on top. Some praised Nina for standing her ground against Strickland's provocations, while others saw it as another example of Strickland's unfiltered authenticity that has made him both infamous and fascinating to watch. Whether playful or serious, one thing is clear: when Sean Strickland is on a livestream, fireworks are almost guaranteed. Move on to another news. The MMA world is buzzing with speculation that undefeated UFC star Khamzat Chimaev could be facing Reinier de Ridder next. Following the sudden withdrawal of Anthony Hernandez from the upcoming UFC Vancouver card, fans have been eagerly awaiting news about the middleweight division's next big matchup, and whispers suggest de Ridder might be the man standing across from Boers in the octagon. Initially, many assumed that Nasruddin Imavov was next in line for a shot at Chimaev's middleweight title. After all, Imavov has been climbing the rankings steadily and seemed poised to take on the champion. But according to Reinier de Ridder himself, that may not be the case. During his media day appearance on Wednesday, the former One Championship double champion dropped a major hint about what's really happening behind the scenes. "Yeah, Imavov's not getting the shot," de Ridder said confidently. "That's why they haven't announced it." While de Ridder still has to handle business first against Brendan Allen this weekend, he's made it clear that a win would likely secure him a title fight with Chimaev. Chimaev. The Dutch submission specialist has long been considered one of the most dangerous grapplers outside the UFC, and now that he's made the transition, he's eager to prove himself against one of the sport's most feared competitors. De Ridder, known as the Dutch Knight, is a world-class jiu-jitsu black belt with an undefeated streak in one championship before suffering his first loss to Anatoly Malikin. His mix of grappling, submissions, and precise striking makes him a rare kind of threat, one that could genuinely challenge Chimaev in areas few others can. Adding fuel to the fire, Joe Rogan weighed in on the potential matchup, calling De Ridder one of the few fighters who could truly test Chimaev's skills. Speaking alongside Daniel Cormier and John Anik, Rogan highlighted the stylistic dangers De Ridder poses. Rainier De Ridder's ability to grapple on the ground and also land clean, powerful strikes, especially that nasty lead knee, makes him a real problem for anyone, Rogan said. He's experienced, tough, and dangerous in every range. Rogan's praise isn't unfounded. De Ridder's fighting style combines high-level grappling with sharp Muay Thai, giving him the ability to control fights on the mat and punish opponents standing. His signature lead knee and long combinations have finished multiple top-tier opponents in spectacular fashion. If he can deliver another statement performance, particularly a highlight reel finish over Brendan Allen, the path to Chimaev could be undeniable. Meanwhile, Chimaev remains silent on his next opponent, but speculation continues to grow. After his dominant performance at UFC 319, where he captured the middleweight title, fans and analysts alike have been wondering who could truly push him to his limits. Rainier De Ridder might just be that man. The narrative is compelling. Chimaev, the undefeated UFC phenom with explosive power and relentless pressure, versus De Ridder, the methodical technician with elite grappling and composure under fire. It's a matchup that would test both fighters in ways we haven't seen before: raw aggression versus calculated precision. If De Ridder can emerge victorious this weekend, it's highly possible that the UFC will waste no time booking the showdown. And as Joe Rogan aptly put it, that fight, Chimaev versus De Ridder, could be Khamzat's toughest test yet. For now, fans can only wait and see. But one thing's for sure, the middleweight division is heating up, and a potential clash between Khamzat Chimaev and Rainier De Ridder has all the makings of a must-see war between two of MMA's most intriguing talents. Move on to another news. As UFC 321 approaches, all eyes are on Umar Nurmagomedov, who steps back into the octagon under immense pressure, both personal and professional. Following his recent setback against Merab Dvalishvili and a hand injury that sidelined him for months, the young Dagestani star is determined to reclaim his momentum and prove that he remains one of the most promising contenders in the bantamweight division. In an interview with MMA Junkie, legendary aka head coach Javier Mendez opened up about the mental and emotional weight resting on Umar's shoulders ahead of his upcoming clash with Mario Bautista. There's extreme pressure on him, Mendez admitted. You've got to understand, he carries that last name. There's a big honor in that. Usman, his brother, is undefeated. Khabib is undefeated. He was undefeated. There's a lot of pressure. Mendez explained that from early in his career, Umar was seen as the next evolution of the Nurmagomedov legacy, a fighter who possessed not only the trademark wrestling and discipline but also a more dynamic striking arsenal. He was doing what Khabib was doing, but at an earlier stage, Mendez said. I used to call him the young eagle. But you've got to be realistic, that kind of expectation comes with enormous pressure. Now, after his first professional loss, Umar is entering what may be the most defining moment of his career. Recovering from a broken hand, regaining confidence, and living up to the weight of his family's name have all made this comeback a test of both physical endurance and mental fortitude. Mendez praised Umar's attitude in camp, emphasizing that he has shown a champion's mindset. It hasn't been an easy journey, it's been both physical and mental, Mendez said. But he's such a fighter, such a fierce competitor. He wants it badly, and he's been showing that every day. The coach also revealed that Umar's recent training performances have reignited hope among his team. He showed us yesterday in sparring unbelievable work, Mendez noted. I base my opinions on what I see, not what I hear. And what I've seen lately is a guy who looks sharper, hungrier, and more determined than ever. While his focus is fully on Bautista, the shadow of Merab Dvalishvili looms large. Their previous matchup was a grueling contest that ended in Nurmagomedov's first professional defeat, and Dvalishvili has already made it clear that he's eager to run it back, this time aiming for a more decisive win. When asked about the possibility of a rematch, Umar handled the question with poise. I can't say I won't fight him or that I'm scared, he told MMA Junkie. That's not the champion's way. If the time comes, we'll see. I'm not avoiding anyone. He can talk, but I'm focused on my next fight first. With UFC 321 just around the corner, the stakes couldn't be higher. For Umar, this isn't just about getting back in the win column, it's about restoring his confidence, silencing the doubters, and showing the world that the Nurmagomedov legacy continues through him. As Mendez summed it up, he's got the talent, the discipline, and the heart. Now it's about proving to himself and everyone else that he can rise again. Whether Umar Nurmagomedov can overcome the pressure and reclaim his path to the top remains to be seen, but one thing is certain, his journey back to greatness at UFC 321 will be one of the most closely watched stories of the year.